Today is the start of National School Choice Week. This is a time for parents to learn about different education options for their children. Joining us live to talk about school choice options in Texas this morning is Shelby Doyle. She's the Vice President of Public Awareness at the National School Choice Awareness Foundation. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, in HISD, the largest school district in the state, they just started their school choice this week, which in HISD means you can apply for a magnet school. You can go to another school within the district that you may not be zoned to. But I want you to tell me what the overall mission of the National School Choice Awareness Foundation is.
So our mission at the foundation is to make sure that parents know about the information you just started telling us, which is what those education options are in their communities. So in a place like Houston and HISD, there's something called open enrollment in traditional public schools. So that's choosing a public school other than the one to which you're assigned. There's public charter schools, public magnet schools, private, online, home, and non-traditional options. For us, we define school choice as choosing any of those because what's important is that parents have the flexibility to choose what's not just a great school in general, but what's the right school for their son or daughter.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't honestly remember growing up having that choice. It was like you either went to private school or you went to the school where you were zoned. And I think it was just the district that I was in. How many schools in school districts in Texas do you know approximately offer school choice where you can go? Is it all of them?
Yeah, so when you think about it with the broad definition of school choice I just gave, pretty much everybody has some level of it. But Texas does have some unique features in terms of how they approach school choice. So every school district in Texas gets to decide how much public school choice they want to offer. HISD does a lot more than other places in the state do. Texas also is a state that is in the minority of the country in that it does not have a private school choice program to help parents offset the cost of choosing a private school, but there's really strong charter, magnet, and online and homeschooling options. So that's kind of a compare and contrast with the whole nation as a whole, but this is changing all the time. We saw 20 states just last year change how much school choice they offered to family in one of those types of schooling environments.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, I've talked to families, you know, they may have 4 kids and they've got them in 4 different schools because they're like, well, each of them learn differently and this is good for him, but not for her. One of the things that people are always looking for are special education services in Texas. Can you tell us how parents can find some of those special education services, like a good resource for that?
Yeah, so special education is a huge concern. It's something that more and more families are realizing that they really want to be an active part of the process with, which is fantastic. So we have a guide on our website at schoolchoiceweek.com. It's called Ultimate Guide to Special Education and School Choice that'll walk you through how your rights and options change depending on what type of school you choose. There's a lot more to this story than a lot of folks realize. Of course, if you're in a traditional public school, people are pretty familiar with the process there. But even if you choose a private or homeschooling option, there are some situations in which you may still be eligible to apply for services from your district. So go to schoolchoiceweek.com. If you look up special education there, you'll find this guide. And we think that's incredibly important for lots of families to know because oftentimes that's a barrier to opening the door to thinking about other types of schools.
Absolutely. Shelby, thank you so much. We're going to make sure we link to your website on click2houston.com to make it easy for parents. Have a great day. Thanks for talking with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, we want to take another look at our KPRC2 storm tracker cameras because we want you to be very careful if you're headed out today. Justin is telling us about flooding. That is a possibility. He'll have more on your weather when we come back.
All right, everyone, let's take a live look outside of the Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Notice that we've still got that heavy rain from just outside of College Station. So basically Navasota, Grimes County up towards parts of Walker County. And you see this batch right here from right outside of Columbus sliding on down into Wharton County. I'm going to keep a watch on that. That probably has some strong winds coming ahead of that too. So heads up if you're in El Campo. This is going to be right on top of you here, probably within the next 4 to 5 minutes. Fog's the other thing we're tracking this morning. It's a mess. Anywhere from out towards Columbus to Katy, Tomball over to Bush Airport, really thick fog up around the greater Kingwood, Tascasita area. And we're seeing it starting to crater as you get on down to the causeway. This is what it looks like right outside of the KPRC2 studios. Notice pretty sloppy and wet there across much of the Southwest Freeway. Temperature-wise, we're well above freezing. That's the good news, but it is going to stay pretty sloppy for a good chunk of the day today. We'll have more coming up after this.
This is a KPRC2 News update.
Good morning. I'm Amy Davis with this update on the morning's top stories on KPRC2 and the KPRC2 Plus live stream. A woman is dead this morning and a man is in the hospital after they were both shot. It happened at an apartment complex in North Harris County. Investigators tell us the two were banging on the door of an apartment when a person inside walked out and began fighting with them. A woman who was inside shot the couple who was banging on the door. Congressman Al Green holding a news conference this morning about what is causing the delayed mail in our area. We know some of you have been waiting weeks and months for packages. He's asking the post office to develop a customer service team to help those impacted by the Missouri City Mail facility. He's also asking for a tour of that facility. USPS said they could arrange it this week. Now here's Justin.
All right, thank you very much, Amy. Let's take a look at the Storm Tracker 2 live radar. If you've been out on the roads this morning, it's been pretty sloppy anywhere. We'll call it moderate rain across much of the metro, and you can see the heavy rain there from Walker County, parts out towards Brenham, and then this line that's starting to develop over into Wharton County, right outside of El Campo, over towards Columbus. This is all headed eastward over the next 2 to 3 hours. So we're not done with this just yet. The other story this morning is the fog. We've got fog anywhere from right across the I-10 corridor, half-mile visibility towards Bush. The good news is that we are way above freezing. We're anywhere from the upper 40s to mid 50s to about 60 degrees. So I'm not expecting any wintry problems with this precipitation that's falling, but it is going to be there for the rest of this afternoon. Notice we'll keep it through about 1 o'clock in through downtown. And then eventually, as we get into the afternoon, that starts to move away. So better looking weather as we get later into the day today. But it has really been a very, very sloppy mess. And of course, Justine has been busy with the roads all morning.
Oh boy, a lot of crashes. If you do have to head out, this is a live look at the North Freeway just at North Main. We got a crash blocking not just that left lane, but also those center lanes. So traffic behind it moving at a jam-packed delay. Most people trying to merge over to that right shoulder to get by. So pack your patience if you do have to head out. Coming in from Cinco Ranch this morning, take a look at this drive time. We are in the red at 64 minutes. And then overall, we got yellow drive times coming in from Humboldt Spring and Manville.
All right, you are watching us on TV right now. If you want to switch over to the KPRC2 Plus live stream, we promise we'll make it worth your while. We've got more local news coming up next. You can find us on the free KPRC2 Plus app on your connected TV or smartphone. Domestic violence is devastating, and it is a big problem in our area. Today, victim advocates are holding a forum to talk about how to best help those suffering. And we are talking live to a victim of domestic violence with how those same advocates helped her leave her abuser. If you are overindulging in alcohol, it's time to reevaluate your relationship. We are talking live with our city's chief medical officer on ways to manage your alcohol consumption. We want to take a live look right now at our road conditions from our KPRC2 storm tracker. Justin Stapleton is tracking the rainy conditions this morning. If you have not yet stepped outside, this is what you are in for. Justin?
It's not going to be pleasant, Amy, that's for sure. This is one of those mornings that you definitely need to budget in some extra time. If you're just going to run some errands, you don't have to get them done right now. I would definitely advise waiting until this afternoon if you do have the time and the flexibility to do that. I promise you'll have better looking conditions than what we're seeing out there right now. Because not only we've got sloppy roads there on the Southwest Freeway, this is from our tower cam here at the KPRC2 studios, but you see just how foggy it is out there too. That's the other issue that's been contributing to some of these crashes that Justina's been tracking most of the morning as well. Now, the silver lining of all this is that the temperatures are way above freezing, so we're not expecting any kind of frozen precipitation, even bridges, overpasses, roadways, they'll be just fine. Right now, we've got 50s to 40s to right around 59 down in Galveston, 61 over into Wharton, 54 over towards Sugar Land, and we'll probably sit in the mid to low 60s for just about everybody as we get into this afternoon. But notice that fog from Columbus over to Katy, out towards Bush into Hobby. So basically right across that I-10 corridor is really thick in a lot of locations. It's starting to crater as you go down the Gulf Freeway over towards the Causeway as well. So keep that in mind. That's the second issue we're dealing with this morning. Now, in terms of any kind of flood concerns, we've got flood advisories, but notice most of those are riding along the I-35 corridor where this heavy rain has been most of the overnight hours. What we're seeing out there now is this line that we've got a little closer towards Wharton County, up just outside of Columbus. This is the one that's got some pretty strong winds out ahead of that too. So that may be something we'll also watch for. So if you're in Bowling or if you're over towards Rosenberg, southern Fort Bend County, heads up under 30 minutes, you'll likely run into that. In towards the inner and outer loop, notice it's fairly messy right out from 290, sliding on up towards the North Freeway. So just be careful out there as we're going to continue to see pretty messy conditions for a good chunk of the rest of the day today. Notice we'll keep some of this heavier rain around through about 2:30 to about 4 or 5 o'clock. It becomes a little more spotty after that. So that's why I said I think if you got errands to run, better weather this afternoon for that. Tuesday, we'll see a good chunk of our thunderstorms stay to the north and west of the metro area. Well, we've got another round of that coming through as we get in towards Wednesday. And then finally starting to calm down. Justine, I'll show you in the 10-day in a bit, but it has been a very active morning for a lot of crashes out there on the roads.
Yes, it has indeed, Justin. We'll take a look at this one. This one's on the North Freeway just at North Main, that crash blocking that left shoulder and then even some of those center lanes. So traffic getting by on the right side in at least 2 lanes, but expect to tap your brakes once you hit this crash. Traffic moving at 11 miles per hour just inside of the loop, and those delays stretch before you even get to that 610 North Loop. We know at least 3 cars were involved in that crash, so it's going to take some time for them to clear it. Definitely pack your patience if you do have to head out. In addition to the crash, we also got some foggy roadways, so take your time if you do have to head out. When it comes to your drive times, we are in the yellow across the board. If you're coming in on I-10 from Katy, we got an hour commute this morning, so take it slow and give yourself some extra time. If you can wait it out and, work from home for a little bit, I do recommend it.
All right. Thank you, Justina. Hey, I have a question for you. How's dry January going for you? It's January 22nd. Are you still doing it? The trend to use January as a time to reset your relationship with alcohol is a good time for people to determine if you are either a moderate or an excessive drinker. Dr. David Pearce is the Chief Medical Officer with the City of Houston, and he's joining us now to talk about this morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming on again.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I know when we say, dry January, it's sort of become this like fun, trendy thing, but it actually can be pretty important. I mean, whatever you want to name it, if it's a good time to help you figure out if you've got a problem, it's probably a good thing. Can you tell us what the difference is between moderate and excessive drinking? How do we know? Is it a number of drinks?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And there is a definition. I'll give you the definition, but then I'm going to give you a sort of a personal comment on it at the end. So drinking in moderation by definition is for men that drink 2 drinks or less per day. For women, it's 1 drink or less per day. And these come from the dietary guidelines for Americans. And so that's what's considered moderate drinking. Excessive drinking includes binge drinking, heavy drinking, any drinking by a pregnant woman. And of course, by law, you shouldn't be drinking under the age of 21. But binge drinking, that's our most common form of excessive drinking. And this is when, people drink, a lot, obviously in one setting. And so again, by definition, for men, this is 5 or more drinks in one sitting. For women, it's 4 or more. And heavy drinking is considered, again, a definition, 8 drinks or more per week for a woman, 15 drinks or more for a man. But what I want to point out is that I think that when people, start having a problem with drinking, it's when your drinking starts to interfere with your life. When, your friends and family members tell you, hey, man, you need to take it easy a little bit, or you start, developing some social problems, whether you want to call it moderate, binge, excessive drinking, those are some definitions. But when your drinking starts causing you problems, that's when you need to start paying attention to it.
Absolutely. Is this we typically think of this, I feel like, as a bigger problem among men, but is it? I mean, is it now sort of evened out?
Yeah, another great question. And it is not solely a man drinking. I think, popular social science would make you think that it's a male-oriented sort of problem. And then for many years it was, because women weren't allowed to drink way back, decades and decades ago. But certainly it is now, we see a lot of excessive drinking problems in women as well, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, we've done other interviews on this, and I feel like during the pandemic, when so many people started working from home and started doing everything from home and didn't have to leave the house, and people were stressed out, it seems like drinking increased during that. This is anecdotal, of course, but I think it's a good time to talk about some tips for cutting back or better managing the use of alcohol. It doesn't have to be dry January, but what are some things that we could do? I mean, if we're thinking, maybe I'm drinking a bit more than I should.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So if you were to do dry January, not drinking January, that doesn't mean beginning February 1st. Just drink as much as you possibly can, right? It's a dry January to remind you and hopefully give you an opportunity to sort of maybe set in some techniques that will help you manage your drinking. And so the alcohol, the charity alcohol change in the UK has come up with a number of suggestions, and they're pretty straightforward. They're pretty simple and straightforward. Most people don't drink every day, but one of the things you can do is you can set a limit of drinks that you're going to have per week. And you just set that limit, how many you're going to have. Maybe it's 5 drinks, maybe it's 4 drinks, whatever it is. You set that for the week, and then you stick to it. The other thing you can do is you can practice saying no, right? When you go out and you're in a social interaction, where you're going out to dinner with friends, you don't have to drink just because everybody else is drinking. If you don't want to drink, just say no. And then the other thing is you can drink some, the low alcohol or no alcohol alternatives. There's plenty of alcohol-free beers, but there's also alcohol-free ciders, wines, and other drinks that are traditionally considered to be alcohol-based drinks that are low alcohol or no alcohol. And you can take part in those if you want. And then the other thing you can do is, if you are going to drink, but you don't want it to have too much of an effect on you, you can try to eat something before you drink the alcohol. That'll just slow down the absorption. You'll still absorb it all, but you'll just slow it down a little bit. And then the last thing is that if you think you've got a drinking problem, there's nothing to be ashamed of. If you need to ask for help, ask for help. You can go with your primary care physician. You can, there are friends of yours who've got drinking problems may have some you can go to. There's certainly Alcoholics Anonymous and other similar groups. If you think you got a problem, it's okay to ask for help. That's the brave thing to do, quite honestly.
All right. I appreciate your insight, Dr. Peirce. Thanks so much for talking with us about this. We will put this on click2houston.com because I do think it's a very important topic that everybody needs to think about. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Maribel Aber with your consumer headlines. The FAA is telling airlines to inspect the door plugs on another Boeing model. Officials recommend inspections of the door plugs on the Boeing 737-900ER jets. This comes after reports from operators of unspecified issues that turned up during checks of the equipment. The 737-900ER jets are not part of Boeing's newer MAX fleet, but they use the same door plug design. The FAA grounded 171 MAX 9 jets earlier this month after a door plug panel on an Alaska Airlines flight blew out in midair. Home sales sank to a 28-year low in 2023. Sales for the full year were just over 4 million units. That was the lowest total since 1995, and sales in December were down 6.2% from a year earlier. But mortgage rates have dropped from around 8% in October to just under 7% now. That has some in the real estate industry predicting December may have marked a bottom for the housing market. Applebee's is offering a subscription pass for your date nights. For $200, you can get a pass that is valid 52 times over the course of a year. The pass covers up to $30 of food and non-alcoholic drinks each time it's used. It runs from February 1st this year right through January 31st of next year. The date night pass goes on sale today at Applebee's. It was another weekend in the top spot at the box office for Mean Girls. The musical feature rang up $11.7 million in ticket sales, and The Beekeeper stayed at number 2 with $8.5 million. Wonka continues to roll. It rang up another $6.4 million in sales for a third place. And the movie has topped $187 million at the domestic box office since its release worldwide. Wonka has pulled in nearly $532 million. I'm Maribel Aber with your consumer headlines on the KPRC2 Plus live stream.
The Houston Sports Awards is January 30th, and we do hope that you're going to join us for this big event. You can get tickets right now by scanning this QR code that's on your screen, or you can just go to click2houston.com and look for the Sports Awards. The link. KPRC2 insiders who buy tickets through our site will have exclusive access to our wine garden, where there's an open bar and a free buffet, red carpet viewing of Houston sports stars, and a seat at 713 Music Hall. If you are not a KPRC2 insider, it is really easy. All you got to do is enter your email address. Just go to our website, click2houston.com, and click Join Insider. It's a button at the top right corner of the screen, and that is how you sign up. We're going to be going back out now to our KPRC2 Storm Tracker cameras driving all around the Houston area. Just to give you an idea of what it's looking like outside, make sure you grab your umbrella as you head out the door because it is going to be a wet day. We'll be right back.
All right, got our running shoes on this morning. I'm back. It is meteorologist Justin Staples. Let's take a look at the Storm Tracker 2 live radar. We've got a couple of trouble spots out there. Most of it is to the west of us there, from Austin down to San Antonio. That's where some of this heavy rain was drenching most of the early morning hours. Now we're starting to see it shift a little further to our northern counties, and you see this batch back off to the west. In fact, jump a little tighter on that. Real heavy rain. The brighter the color is there, the stronger and the heavier the rain is coming down. So folks out towards Bowling, as you go just south of Rosenberg, heads up, is about probably 20-30 minutes before this is headed right on top of you there. Still looking at a bit of a break now across much of the Southwest Freeway down towards Southwest the studios, over towards Pearland, 288 up into downtown. That's the good news. But now north side, Kingwood over to the airport towards Highlands, and then as you get a little further north of there from New Waverly over to much of Montgomery County, looking at a pretty good soaker for at least the next 30 to about 45 minutes. Here's what it looks like from the KPRC2 studios. The fog is the other part to the story for us this morning. Temperatures are well above freezing. That's the good news. So we're not expecting any wintry precipitation from this. In fact, we're going to keep it pretty foggy for a good chunk of the next couple of hours. Look at that. Zero visibility down by the Med Center. So be very careful in and around that area. And then Bush Airport up towards Conroe. You see up to Cleveland, down to Pearland, and even on down towards the Causeway, getting a little thicker, moving on down to Galveston, and then back off to the west out towards Katy as well. So that's probably contributing to some of the issues we've had this morning, along with the wet weather. We'll likely see the fog be a bit of an issue through about the next 2 to 3 hours. That's when we finally start to see this line moving that should make it through here by about 2, 3 o'clock. And then eventually, as we get in towards this evening, we'll see that start to wind down. There is a flood risk, 2 out of 5, a moderate flood risk. So certainly some of the feeders, ponding on the roadways. In fact, we heard Kathy Hernandez talk about that at the 6 o'clock hour. So please be careful if you are headed out. It's going to stay pretty wet today, tomorrow, Wednesday. That'll be the last of the heavy rain potential coming through. We could be talking about multiple inches of rain as well by Wednesday. Then Thursday, Friday, that starts to wind down. And right now, looks like we've got a clean looking weekend, a little cooler, 50s and 60s. But Justina, we're going to need a few days to dry out because it is a little soggy out there.
Oh boy, it is. Taking a look at the north side of the Beltway, this is a live look at Fallbrook. We have an accident blocking those right and that left shoulder there. You see those flashing lights, and then we got heavy traffic coming inbound. So if you're traveling in those northbound lanes, that's where you'll see that incident. But take a look at this map. We got a lot of red and yellow, and this is usually what we see, especially on a wet, rainy day like this one. So we'll zoom into just another problem spot this morning. If you're coming inbound on 288 just at that 610 South Loop, we had an incident in that area blocking a right lane. So expect jam-packed delays before you get to the loop itself. Heading westbound on that loop, more slow traffic. Your drive time slow now coming in from the Woodlands. Just take a look at that backup from the North Loop. We got an hour commute, and then Pearland 33 minutes on 288 coming in from Katy. We also have a 57-minute commute this morning, Amy.
Ugh, and who wants to sit in that mess? Thank you, Justina. Hey, happening today, Legal Services Corporation is holding a domestic violence forum to discuss the ongoing rise in reported cases of domestic violence. According to the National Coalition on Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men will experience domestic violence. Monica Salas was one of those numbers. She is joining us live this morning to tell her story. Good morning, Monica. Thank you so much for coming on with us this morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so I know that you're going to be at this forum in just a few hours later today to kind of also share your story and how domestic violence advocates helped you in your situation and your story. It's been a minute, but can you share your personal story with us? I think hearing it would help others maybe who knows someone or might be in the same situation.
It has been. It's been about 30 years, actually. I was a 17-year-old with 2 children. My first child was born when I was 14. And my dad said, "You're going to marry him." So I married him. And unfortunately, it was a pretty unhealthy, abusive relationship. It was scary. I was threatened that if I left, he'd find me and kill me. And these were words that would be whispered in my ear as a 14, 15-year-old girl. It was really scary. But anyway, I somehow, by the grace of God, found what was called Gulf Coast. I believe it was Gulf Coast Legal Aid. Mm-hmm. And I believe my attorney was Ann Riccio, who I never got to thank all these years later. I believe she's passed away. But anyway, I was able to find them, and I don't recall how much the divorce ended up costing, but I can tell you I wasn't making a lot of money. I was probably working at a retail store in Pasadena or Houston, where I grew up. But it made the availability of that legal assistance that was affordable to me allowed me to get out of that situation. I can't imagine being stuck legally married to a man that was in and out of jail, an addict. And from what I know, he is to this day in active addiction.
Yeah.
And so it was, like I said, it allowed me to cut that tie. And
I mean, Monica, you were 17 years old with 2 small children. I mean, just realizing yourself that you needed to leave was a huge step. But then there are lots of challenges, I mean, that face victims when they know they need to leave, but they can't imagine. It just seems so far off being able to come up with the resources. I mean, so talk to us a little bit about what people can expect when they reach out to some place like Lone Star Legal Aid for help.
You know, there was, honestly, back then, there were a lot of resources. You just had to look, and you can't, it's like you can't just, you got to get out of your head, and you got to realize there are people. God has given us so many resources, so many people that are willing to help. You got to just truly believe that there is a way out. What to expect? honestly, these days, I don't know because it's been 30 years. But I mean, I can only imagine it would be that much easier because of technology and just the pure, I don't know, I just feel like there's going to be even more today than there was then.
Yeah, 30 years removed from that situation.
Pardon?
I said 30 years now removed from that situation, from an abusive relationship. I'm wondering, I'm sure you've thought about where you would be, where your children would be if you hadn't gotten out of that?
You know, I remember when I went to my very first prenatal appointment for my second child, my son. I left, it was a midwife, and I stood in her front yard because she was practicing in her home. And I thought, I wonder if I could do that. I wonder if I could be that for someone. And instantly my mind was like, nah, forget it. You're fixing to have your second kid. You haven't darkened the doorstep of a high school. It seemed insurmountable. And so I forgot about it. But I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
But look at you now.
Just,
I mean, you own your own business, and you said you did just start the whole midwifery, if I'm saying that right, training?
Yes. I went on to open up a mortgage company and ran that for a few years. And now I am seeking my midwifery certification so that I can be that for someone, so that I can, because in that moment, like I said, it seems like there's no way out.
Yeah.
But there is. There always is a way out. When you're a victim of domestic abuse, your abuser gets in your head and wants you to believe that there is no one for you, that you're dumb, that nobody's going to want you. You know, they tell you all these things and you start to believe. And then if you've got the pressure of your family because of cultural reasons or
Yeah.
you know, that what have you, sometimes it feels like you just have to stay,
Right.
but you don't.
Monica, thank you so much for sharing your story this morning. I hope you guys have a successful forum today. We want to let people know that if you or someone you know may be struggling with a domestic violence situation, we have a lot of help available over on click2houston.com/domestic violence. You'll find helpful tools and resources to break free from a very bad and dangerous situation. We are getting ready for another jam-packed hour coming up at 8 a.m. We're going to take a look at our traffic wheel and the roadways right now. This is Beltway 8 at Fallbrook, but pretty much wet anywhere around Houston right now. Justina will be back with an update.
This is a KPRC2 News update.
Good morning, I'm Amy Davis on KPRC2 and the KPRC2 Plus live stream. We want to start with meteorologist Justin Stapleton. Weather's the story of the day.
Weather and traffic, I can tell you that. Both of those are impacted by the sloppy conditions we're seeing out there, Amy. Notice we've got a new flood advisory back off to the west, down around Colorado County. I expect to see a few more of those as this heavy rain slowly pushes through over the next 3 to 4 hours. Right now, this is where things are fairly sloppy, anywhere from Fort Bend County over towards parts of El Campo. Tampa, Wharton County. We're getting a bit of a break across the metro now, but the roads really have been impacted. And that, along with the fog, is the other issue, too. Temperature-wise, we're sitting in the 50s and 60s, but this fog, Justina, is no joke, as we've got places like the Med Center sitting with visibility less than a tenth of a mile.
Wow. Not only do we have fog, but we also got crashes to get to. This is on the west side of the Beltway heading northbound just after West Road. Traffic moving about 18 miles per hour if you are heading out that way. This is a look at that crash. You see it blocking that left shoulder there. Traffic heavy in that area, and we got wet roadways. So when it comes to your drive times, expect to come in extremely slow on the Northwest Freeway as well as the Katy Freeway.
All right, thank you, Justina. Hey, today marks 51 years since the landmark decision of Roe v. Wade. In 1973, the Supreme Court legalized abortion in the U.S. We are talking about it coming up in our 8 o'clock hour on KPRC 2+. Now on our live stream, join us.
Heavy rains moving through the Houston area this morning. You can see rain coming down as our cameraman is stopped at an intersection right now. We'll be checking in on the roads for you throughout the hour. And now taking a look at the Southwest Freeway. This is kind of near the Upper Kirby area. Drivers need to take extra cautions if you're on your way to work right now. The roads are wet. And speaking of drivers, this is our Storm Tracker 2 taking a little rest along along the feeder road here. The roads all morning, making sure we are on the roads all morning, making sure that you are out there staying safe. Good morning, everyone. I'm Haley Hernandez, and we have been tracking these passing showers to bring you the latest information on hot spots and what you need to look out for. You've been hearing all morning how much rain we are expected to get over the next several hours, and the reason that we're focusing on that is so that you can stay alert and drive safe to work. There's also multiple agencies out there to protect you. We're going to talk to some of them right now. Joining me today is Dr. Denise Chatham-Walker and Karen LaFleur with the Greater Houston Local Emergency Planning Committee. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Haley.
So, Karen, I know you from your time here at KPRC. Welcome back to our station. What is this committee that you guys are a part of? Like, what do you exactly do?
We're part of the Greater Houston Local Emergency Management Planning Committee, and the thing is that we work with a lot of first responders, the community, businesses, and just try to make sure that the community is safe.
And how are you preparing for the weather today? Is this going to be an event that you're preparing for?
I'm going to let Denise take that.
Okay, we remain prepared. Our primary focus are hazardous chemicals and to be a voice multiplier in the community. So we do receive calls of where do I go for warming centers when it's cold?
Oh, yeah.
What do I do with my animals when there's flooding? And so we serve as a voice multiplier for that, in addition to if there's a spill or release in the community, sharing that as well.
So basically people can call you and then you can help assist them, even if that's providing additional resources.
Correct.
And how do people reach you?
They call directly 713-249-9687, or they reach out to us via email at chair@ghlepc.org. Those are the two primary ways of reaching out to us.
Okay, and we will put those that contact information on our website, click2houston.com. If someone were to see like maybe a car stuck in high water, although that's not really what we're anticipating today, if it's an event like that where we're talking about water and flooding and things like that, what would you say to somebody if they got stuck or if they saw someone stuck?
We don't want to be a delay or an additional person wanting to call. If they're stuck, they should call 911 immediately. Like I said, our role is a voice multiplier in these types of incidents, and that's what we would push if they're in a position where they can. Of course, we would assist in trying to connect them. If it's a non-emergency situation, if it's in the city of Houston, of course, we encourage people to reach out to 311 and a number of other organizations that are out there that we partner with.
And Karen, what are you doing to make sure that your team stays safe?
What are we doing to our team to stay safe? We're trying to follow the rules where, again, if it's high water, turn around, don't drown. We try to keep everybody informed, keep an eye on Channel 2 for their weather updates, and just make sure that everybody is prepared. Failure to prepare is possibility of failure. So what we're trying to do is get as much information out in advance as possible and keep everybody to have a heads up.
Mm-hmm. What's your main message for people today when it's just going to be a very consistent wet road type of day?
I think it's most important is that, slow down, leave the space between your vehicles. You know how the roads are when it's not raining out. So now that it's raining out, and in some areas it may be a little icy or slick, is to leave enough space between each vehicle.
Good point. All right, Dr. Denise Walker and Karen LaFleur, thank you for joining me this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Haley.
All right, stay safe out there. Time now is 8:06, and to check in on the weather, we're going to head on over to Justin.
Yep.
Justin, are you with us, or do we have a storm tracker that we're
literally walking in right now.
So, all right.
Yep, I got you here.
So we have a shot up now, Justin, of the Southwest Freeway, and it just looks kind of gross out there. What's going on?
That's a good descriptor for it. Yeah, I know, right? Well, you know what? That's pretty effective because that's about what we're looking at right now. We got two big issues here. Well, obviously, we have the wet weather that's been moving through you. So the lady's talking about that. Give yourself a little bit extra time, extra space, all of that good stuff. The other issue is the fog. In fact, we're really starting to see crater in and across parts of the area too. This is one of the bigger things I think we're going to be dealing with for at least the next hour or two, probably a good chunk of the morning, to be honest with you, if we're really kind of thinking this through. I think it's probably through 10, 11, 12 o'clock that we could see a good measure of that fog. It's fairly thick. I'm going to show you in just a second. And here's the reason why. You see the temperatures are all back into the 40s, 50s, and even 60, 61 out towards Bay City. It's a little cooler in Wharton. They've had some pretty heavy rain move through, so it cooled them off very quickly. Now, you say, okay, but that's still pretty chilly. But remember, we were looking at 20s and 30s and a very dry air mass over the last, 4 or 5 days, right? And so over the last 24 hours, we've really had the jet stream that I'll show you in a second, too, start to pull in that Gulf moisture. So that means the dew points, which is the stickiness factor in the air, the water vapor in the air, the water moisture, starts to go up. If that goes up and it gets close to what the air temperature is, and both of those numbers get real close together, this is the effect that you get. You get the real thick fog right close to the surface. So the med center with a big fat bagel, meaning that visibilities there are less than 1/10 of a mile. So that means a car that's, let's say, 50 yards in front of you, you probably will have very difficult time seeing that. Now, obviously, the roads are pretty tight in through the med center, so the cars will be bumped up against each other, but you get the idea. Anywhere from Bush Airport out towards Conroe, over to Cleveland, out to Katy at about a mile visibility. Then we're seeing it start to crater as you get on down towards parts of the Gulf Freeway as well. Widen out that in towards Huntsville and then out to Columbus, still looking at some fog issues too. So it's not just here locally across much of the metro, it's all across southeast Texas. One of the reasons why is Storm Tracker 2 Live Radar. We've been looking at some of this heavy rain that's been pressing its way in from the west. We had flood advisories out across I-35 earlier today. There's still a few of those. This new one right here, just south of Columbus, popped up. That goes until 12 o'clock this afternoon. We've got a bit of a break right here across Fort Bend County in through much of, we'll say, I-10 just southward. But most of this has to swing through over the next 3 to 4 hours. So we're not done just yet, meaning that the flood risk that's out there is for the entire area, and that goes for most of the day today, and it's 2 out of 5. So it's a moderate flood risk, meaning that ponding, some minor street flooding, likely what we'll see. Some of the rainfall totals that I've been able to see so far have been about 1.5 inches to 1.25 inches. Most of that's been over towards the west side. So we've got this low that's driving all of this across the state. And then you have this nice big jet stream that's sort of lifting all that moisture up. So what does this mean? This means just a big globby mess is basically what we're seeing. And there's that new flood advisory. As I said, that goes until, 12 o'clock this afternoon. So it's not only there, but you see this line of heavy rain right there that's going to head its way towards Rosenberg and eventually Katy here in just about the next 15 to 20 minutes. And that'll be part of what we'll be watching as this tracks across most of the metro area by 12 o'clock through about 1, 2 o'clock. And then eventually, as we get in towards this evening, we'll see that rain become a little more spotty. So I think the evening commute should look better than what we saw this morning. But then by tomorrow morning, here comes another wave. The majority of this likely will stay to the north of us. At least that's the trend on it so far. But as we take it from Tuesday night into Wednesday, here comes another glob. This one is also going to bring in some heavy rain through Wednesday morning's commute into parts of the afternoon by eventually, say, 4 or 5 o'clock. That starts to slowly wind out of here, but not before we could see upwards of 4 to 6 inches of rain. By Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you see some of these brighter colors. These are corresponding to 4 to 6 to maybe 8 inches of rain. So that's enough that we will likely be dealing with some minor flood issues if that's the case. So we'll just kind of have to watch and see how this develops over the next couple of days. But do know by Thursday, Friday, the rain chances go way down to about 30 to 20%. And then as we get in towards the weekend, looks like we've got a much better forecast, Haley. A little cooler, but certainly we get to dry things out. But can't stress enough, gross is a good way to put what the descriptor is for the day today. If you do not have to go out, just park it. If you can work it from home today, if the bosses are cool with that, highly advise it.
Day gross. We can't work from home, so please let us live vicariously through you.
That's right.
All right, you can stay on top of this rain by downloading our free KPRC2 Storm Tracker weather app. Just scan the QR code on your screen, and that app lets you track real-time road conditions. If you can't scan it right now, just search KPRC in your app store. We're going to take a live look outside at the U.S. Capitol this morning. Lawmakers do not have a set law regarding abortion for all U.S. states. They all have different rules and regulations for that procedure. The journey to get something cohesive across all 50 states is ongoing. And the reason we bring that up is because today marks the anniversary of the landmark Roe v. Wade decision by the U.S. Supreme Court that guaranteed women's reproductive rights for decades. And since the law was overturned in 2022, nearly 24 states have restricted abortion access, including right here in Texas. A new report from the University of Houston reveals Hispanic women in Texas are facing more challenges than others due to the state's near total abortion ban. Joining us live to talk about this report is one of the authors, Dr. Elizabeth Gregory, with the Institute for Research on Women, Gender, and Sexuality. Good morning.
Morning.
So what are some of the major findings in your report?
Well, this data is 2022 fertility data, and it just came out from the CDC. So it's a little earlier than the Dobbs decision because, as you'll remember, in 2021, Texas passed a 6-week abortion ban. So Texas was ahead of the nation in restricting the access to abortion. And so the data for Texas for 2022 is a kind of preview of what we'll be seeing more broadly across the nation in states that had bans in the data that comes out for 2023, because when the ban passes in 2021, you don't start seeing increased births until the next year. So that's what we're seeing now, and that's what this report looks at. It's at the 2022 birth data for Texas, and what we saw was that the fertility rate rose 2% for the state overall. But when you look at it in more detail by race, ethnicity, and age factors, you see a lot of differences across groups. So what we saw was that while it was 2% overall, that actually broke out to a 5% rise among Hispanic women, but a decline among other groups. So there was a small rise among Asian women, less than 1%, but both non-Hispanic Black and non-Hispanic white rates fell in 2022. So that's a big difference. So we're looking at that. And then when we looked at it in more detail, it also was different by age. So we could see that there was a slight raise in the teen birth rate. So teen birth rates had been declining across the nation since 2007. So there's been a 67% decline in the teen birth rate in Texas as well as across the country. But for the first time in 2022, the teen birth rate in Texas went up for the first time in 15 years. So it went up very slightly, but that's a notable change. And it's continued to fall across the country. So what we did see, though, among Hispanic women was that the rates among women 25 and older were much higher. So that 5% rise was largely due to rises among older women, women who may already have children at home. That seemed to be the distinguishing factor, who might have had more difficulty getting access to either contraception or, if they were seeking an abortion, more difficulty traveling due to childcare needs. And particularly that would affect low-income women than other groups. So that was an interesting difference to see. Since
it's interesting, but is it saying that more Hispanic women were having abortions when they were legal? Hard to say,
not necessarily. It's hard to say because the dynamic is one of who has access now. So if some people were able to leave the state because they had funds and time or just whatever the access, then they would have continued access, whereas some people might not. So it's really hard to make a statement like the one you suggested.
Well, I've been looking into this as the health reporter here. I've been looking into, are we going to see more births of babies with syndromes that could be deadly? Are we going to see more complications from women? And that information is actually difficult to obtain. Were you able to find that in your research?
Well, this data doesn't look at the health situations of those children at this point, though that it might provide it if people were looking in more depth for particular questions. But the greater syndrome that people seem likely to demonstrate as a result of this is increased poverty. So if people were seeking abortions in their families because they were already struggling to feed the children that they had, and might have sought an abortion in order to reduce the strains on their family, then you'll see an increased rates of poverty in families that have
We're
more
going to see
children
that affecting families more as their families grow in size. Yeah. Dr. Elizabeth Gregory, thank you so much for joining us this morning and explaining your research. As I mentioned, I'm sure we're going to be talking to you some more. As you implied, we're going to start seeing birth rates increase and things happen just since this ban is somewhat new to our society.
And since we'll only be seeing the Dobbs effect in the 2023 data, so it's already predicted that will have a substantially larger effect. Mostly, partly because when it expands across multiple states, this is just data where the ban was present in Texas only. But when neighboring states also have bans, people will have farther to travel.
Yeah. Dr. Elizabeth Gregory, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.
You too.
And now today, President Joe Biden's re-election campaign is making reproductive rights a focal point ahead of November. His campaign released an abortion-focused ad to emphasize the issue and galvanize voters. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris is traveling to Wisconsin to put a spotlight on reproductive rights. We'll be back right after this. Across the country, including here in Texas, we're experiencing a shortage in nurses, therapists, pharmacists, and more healthcare providers. So to help address these shortages, schools dedicated to a career in healthcare are opening as young as high school age. Joining me today is Dr. David Callender with Memorial Hermann Health System. Good morning, Dr. Callender.
Good morning.
So can you tell me about this partnership that you guys are doing with Aldine ISD?
Yeah, and we also have Dr. LaTanya Goffney from Aldine ISD on with us this morning. We're very excited about this partnership. It opens a new opportunity to introduce young people to careers in health professions. Aldine is just proving to be a marvelous partner. So very excited to be able to form the Heal High School and move ahead.
And so what would the curriculum look like for these students?
Well, let me turn it over to Dr. Goffney. You can describe that.
Yeah, we're really excited about the pathways and the different opportunities it's going to provide for our students. We're going to have nursing, we'll have imaging, we'll have physical and occupational therapy, non-clinical administration, as well as pharmacy. And so initially the curriculum will look similar to what any other ninth grade students will have, but they'll have the opportunity to have very hands-on learning alongside Memorial Hermann staff that will open their eyes to the different opportunities that we described in the 5 pathways. So we're really excited.
How would somebody get into this school? I mean, I've researched myself the crisis that we've got with the shortage of nurses and healthcare workers. So if we know that a young person has interest in pursuing a career in healthcare, how would they be able to enroll in your school?
It's simple. We have an application that's open right now. In addition, we're doing interest meetings with all of our 8th grade students who are going to be in 9th grade next year. And we're also making sure and partnering so that they all know. We know that when kids and families have good information, they can make good decisions. But the most important thing we're excited about is providing models from Memorial Hermann who will show our students what's possible. What we found is many times our students only interact with a nurse when they go to the doctor, but to be able to ask questions, be able to have mentors, be able to go and visit the hospital and have these real world experiences in our classrooms during grades 9 through 12 is going to be life-changing for our students.
And Dr. Callender, can students, would they be able to go directly from this school into a position at, say, you know, a hospital system like Memorial Hermann? I mean, we're talking about 18-year-olds.
Yes, absolutely. They'll be prepared. In many cases, they'll actually have achieved their certification that's necessary to begin their professional career. So the idea is they graduate career ready.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, if, you know, if an 18-year-old was good enough to take care of us during World War II, they're good enough to take care of us today, right? That's a typical age for, I know, for several professions, at least in the past. Now we're just used to hearing people, you know, go on to a secondary school and have to pursue that degree. So this is pretty impressive that if you know what you want to do, this seems like to be the right option for you.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. Obviously, it addresses what you mentioned at the outset, which is the severe shortage of health professionals that we have. But it also gives us an opportunity to work with a group of young people to talk about the concepts of health and health care and potentially spread that message out to their families and into their neighborhoods too. And so just another part of this marvelous opportunity.
Yeah. In case people don't know at home, I will emphasize that this shortage of healthcare workers is affecting you, whether you think it is or not. I mean, if you have an emergency right now, most emergency rooms across our area, you could be sitting in the waiting room for hours. And a lot of that is because of staffing issues. So to form something that would create a pipeline directly into our local health organizations, I think is pretty brilliant. What is the ultimate goal for Heald High School?
Well, we're excited.
Go ahead, Dr. Goffney, sorry.
We're excited too because not only is it going to provide opportunities for to enter into a high wage job, but it's going to be a ticket out of poverty for many of our students. As we think about the fact that 90% of our students come from free and reduced economically disadvantaged homes, and so being a first-generation college student myself, our students are going to graduate with a ticket to go into the workforce and have meaningful jobs that are going to help them to help their families and also to help them through college so that they don't have to get the debt that some of us have had to get as first-generation college students.
Yeah,
that's
bypass
very
that.
important.
Yeah.
And the Bloomberg people see this as the creation of models like this one in Houston. There are others across the country that can be replicated in other urban areas with other school systems and health systems. So we're very excited about that opportunity too. It's a great way to introduce local students to the health professions who might not otherwise get that exposure. And we hope that the model will be extended in the future to offer that opportunity to that many more students around the country.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and good luck to the both of you. We really appreciate your time explaining that to us this morning.
Thank you, Haley.
Thank you.
All right, now, of course, we are keeping an eye on the roads for you all morning long. There's been passing rain moving through the Houston area. So if you head out today, make sure that you're just driving slowly, staying alert on those wet roads. Of course, we wouldn't want you to be one of those people who ends up in one of those emergency rooms, as I was just mentioning. Those weather conditions are exactly why we have our team on the roads right now to keep an eye out for you. Our Kathy Hernandez is in one of our KPRC2 storm trackers right now. Kathy, where are you and what's it look like where you're at?
Good morning to you, Haley. We are out here in the Brookshire area. We've been seeing a lot of rain on the west side of town. We've been driving around through the Katy area, the Brookshire area, also the Sealy area. This is where a lot of the storms have passed this morning. The sky is really gray here, as you can see. It really turned dark as we started to head out west. This is toward the San Antonio area, of course, westbound on I-10. This is in the Brookshire area where really heavy storms have been coming down. And all morning, really, we've been seeing emergency crews, multiple crashes as well. That's just a reminder for everyone to take it slow. Give yourself plenty of space between you and the car in front of you. Even my photographer, about 8 o'clock, no, I believe it was about 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock saw a crash right here on the road. It was a one-car vehicle. Driver spun out of control, hit the wall as well, and then we came back around. Obviously, emergency crews were there already, but just a reminder, take it slow this morning. Give yourself plenty of extra time to get to work or to school. We know a lot of local leaders and authorities are watching the roads, watching the conditions out there, as the Harris County Office of Emergency Management is expected to activate at 9 o'clock this morning. They do say we're expected to see street flooding, as our meteorologists have been saying as well. But out on the roads, out on these freeways that we've been seeing, we have seen some ponding, maybe on lower feeder areas. So, of course, just take it slow this morning. Haley, this is what we're seeing. Heavy rain and dark skies for now. Back to you.
And I think it's pretty consistently like that across the area. Stay safe out there, Kathy. I'm going to bring Justina into the conversation now. Justina, yeah, I mean, look at right there behind you at I-10 and the East X Freeway.
Yeah,
looks the same.
We got jam-packed delays. We saw a lot of accidents this morning, a lot of them popping on and off of the maps this morning because there are a lot of one-vehicle accidents just spinning out on the roadways. But this is a live look at the East X at I-10, traffic heading inbound at a standstill. And that's something you'll see across the board, especially if you're coming in from the west side. So we'll zoom into some of those delays. Katie, I-10 coming in just inside the Grand Parkway, moving about 18 miles per hour. The same thing if you're traveling on that 610 West Loop heading southbound through that uptown area. The north side, the North Loop, we got jam-packed delays. And before you get there on the North Freeway, traffic moving about 30 miles per hour. And then in addition to those wet roadways, we also got long-term road construction, but you'll see this clear up in February. So this is on the west side of the Beltway heading southbound. That exit ramp to Bel Air Boulevard is a total closure until February 1st. So keep your eyes peeled if you do have to head out that way. Your drive times coming in extremely slow in from Jersey Village at 38 minutes. And then take a look at this, Cinco Ranch over an hour this morning on I-10. We do have one drive time in the green. So if you're coming in from Channel View, you got a 15-minute commute, but as you saw closer towards the East X, you will see some delays heading inbound.
Wow, yeah, over an hour from Cinco Ranch. You can see that rain is causing some problems for our drivers out there.
Pack your patience.
Yep. All right, thanks, Justina. And remember, as you head out the door, this is what it looks like. So just take it slow and steady. We'll be right back right after this. All right, you're taking a live look at the White House this morning. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has dropped out of the race for the Republican presidential nomination. This leaves former President Donald Trump and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley in the race for the GOP nomination. DeSantis has thrown his support to Trump for the nomination. And now to the future of space. The Axiom Mission 3 crew members are getting ready for work this morning on board the International Space Station. The AX-3 mission launched on Thursday, kicking off a roughly 36-hour orbital journey that ended early Saturday morning. The 4-man crew will stay for about 2 weeks, performing experiments and research investigations. AX-3 is SpaceX's third private human spaceflight for the company since 2022. All right, if you're looking for a career this year, a new career, the state of Texas says they can help you. The Texas Workforce Commission just launched a new app that'll help you explore new career pathways and discover resources. The MyTX Career app is free to use and available to download from the App Store and Google Play. Stay tuned for KPRC 2 Plus now this Friday at 8, where we'll go into details on what this app has to offer and how to take advantage of all of the resources on there. And of course, as we've been mentioning all morning long, we are watching our weather closely this morning as the pattern of a messy morning commute is expected to impact our area throughout the week. Justin is going to give us the latest after the break if you're making your way out the door this morning. All right, welcome back. Check out this story getting a lot of attention right now on click2houston.com. The Texans' journey to the Super Bowl 2024 is over, but their future only looks brighter from here. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud has quickly garnered attention on and off the field. Stroud and head coach DeMeco Ryans have turned the team around this season, and they have grown a long way from their previous season. To see just how many records the Texans achieved this year alone and how the rookie feels about his rise to fame, check out this article on our homepage on click2houston.com. And this morning, 2 teens are wanted for capital murder. They're in custody now after turning themselves into police. The 17 and 18-year-old are accused of shooting an Humble store clerk after stealing a bag of chips. Community activist Quanell X says the teens reached out to him about coming forward. He says they're claiming self-defense. Police released surveillance video from Friday showing 2 suspects in hoodies walking into the Sunoco. The employee confronts them about a bag of chips as they leave the store, and that is the last video before police say the employee followed the suspects in his car. The teens are accused of opening fire, striking the employee and that employee's car. Quanell X says that the teens have a different story.
They did say to me that they believed it was self-defense because there was multiple guns involved and it wasn't just them.
So they believe that the store clerk had a gun?
Yes, they believe the store clerk had a gun and that he pulled his gun first. Now, whether that's the truth or not, we don't know, but what we do know, it all should be on video.
Well, KPRC2 reached out to the Humble police for comment, and they say they're looking into our request. People in a Northwest Harris County neighborhood are growing worried after a nearby home used as a short-term rental was the site of a shooting that ended with 3 people dead and 2 others injured. Deputies say a group of 10 to 20 people were at the house on Russet, Leaf, Trace, and Valley Hill Road when someone started shooting yesterday morning. A man and a woman died there. A third man later died at the hospital. Deputies don't know why the shooting started. They have not arrested anyone yet. We did speak to neighbors who wanted to remain anonymous, but they say that their car was hit by gunfire. Now, if you know anything about the shooting, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Firefighters are looking into what started a massive fire at a home in Galveston that claimed the lives of a couple and their adult son. This is video of the fire from a viewer. The fire started yesterday morning at the home on Sealy Street and 12th Street. When crews got there, the house was engulfed in flames. Crews got control of the fire and found 3 bodies inside. The couple's other son talked to us about his parents.
They were great. We had a little brother who was handicapped. They took care of him. He was 47 years old. Mentally, he was about 10. Right now, I can't even wrap my brain and process all of this yet. But currently, no, just friends and family and support's all I need right now.
The couple reportedly lived at that home for 30 years and were about to make their last mortgage payment. Delays dating back several months. That's what people have been dealing with in Fort Bend County because of problems at the Missouri City mail facility. Congressman Al Green is now demanding answers from the Postal Service and if he could tour the facility this week. We've reached out to the Postal Service and still have not heard back on when people are going to get their packages. The agency says that the delays are caused by the Postal Service changing where mail is processed. And while we are dealing with the first of 3 days of rain, other parts of the country are dealing with a lot more harsh weather than this. The death toll is rising from back-to-back storms and bitter cold. This is a map showing just how many people have died by state in these storms. The most was in Tennessee with 27 deaths, 11 in Mississippi and 12 in Oregon. Some areas are now dealing with burst pipes from the cold, and in Memphis, the cold weather is also being blamed on water main breaks, leaving people without water. Today, the Central Plains are expected to get more sleet and ice storms, and down here we are expecting heavy rain and a possible risk of flooding. Justin's here to tell us more about that.
Yeah, so far so good. Most of the heavy rain we've seen is amounted to about 1.5 inches, so we can handle that. A couple of flood advisories, but nothing major so far. However, the bigger issue, I think, in a lot of spots that are not seeing some of that heavy rain has been the fog. That's just pretty much area wide. This is a live shot from right here at the KPRC2 studios. You can see the rain starting to pick up again there at the Southwest Freeway. Pretty wet. It's going to be sloppy out there for a good chunk of the rest of the morning and into the early afternoon. So I've been saying this. Justina's been telling you this morning, if you don't have to get out today, stay put. This is one of those days, if you can work from home, do it. Call in or email and just say, hey, I'm going to sit tight here. It's just a little safer. 48-53 to about 60 degrees down on the island. We're at 61 in Bay City. So nobody at freezing. That's the good news. I don't expect to see these temperatures dip. They will likely rise a few degrees as we get into this afternoon. But if you look over most of the area, we're talking about widespread thick fog. 0 at the Med Center, meaning it's less than 1/10 of a mile, so you can't see about 50 yards in front of you. Same thing out towards Bush at a half-mile visibility out to Katy, Sugar Land on down towards Richmond. So tough go, tough sledding for a lot of folks out there, and that includes up to Huntsville as you move on down to Galveston as well. So this will likely be with us for the rest of the morning and into the early part of the afternoon. So just be ready for it. And not only that, Storm Tracker 2 live radar is showing a couple of different things here. We've got this big batch over towards Grimes County, moving into parts of Montgomery County. Notice we're getting a bit of a break now across much of Fort Bend County on down towards Brazoria County. But we also have that batch to the west that's going to continue to slide in here over the next, let's say, about hour to hour and a half. So the entire area is under a flood risk from 2 out of 5 for the rest of the day today, meaning a moderate risk of flooding. That could be street flooding, that could be minor issues, certainly feeder roads. If you know neighborhoods in your neck of the woods that always has that road that floods whenever it doesn't have a good storm drain on it, that's one that you want to watch out for today. All right. Bigger picture looks like this. We've got the Pacific jet stream moving right across the state of Texas. That's adding all the extra lift to the atmosphere. We've got this low generating all of the movement for this out towards Albuquerque. So this is a pretty good setup. Notice the freezing rain well north of us here up into parts of Arkansas and even just north of Dallas-Fort Worth. So it's all going to be rain for us. Now, the closest that we do have a flood advisory for about 1 to 2 inches that's fallen from Cuero over to Gonzales, just south of Schulenburg there, around Colorado County. And then you see most of this starting to stretch its way in across much of West Harris County. So that's right outside of Katy, getting hammered again right now. And then Sugar Land on down towards Needville. And then also seeing it kind of filling in there across 288 down around the Med Center, NRG, from the South Loop over towards the West Loop, Galleria, Uptown. Then as you move your way up towards 290 corridor. So here's the story over the next 2 to 3 hours. This is going to continue to plow through here by noon as we get to about 1 to 2 o'clock. That starts to shift over towards Galveston, eventually into the Bay, and then over to Beaumont and over towards Lake Charles by about, let's say, 4 or 5 o'clock. So this afternoon, we should be looking at least a better commute home than what you drove through this morning, or if you're headed out there now over the next hour or so. So that's why I said, if you do have errands you need to run, if you can wait a couple of hours, I think it'll be better by about 4 or 5 o'clock today. Now, as we go to overnight tonight, should be relatively quiet. I think the fog is going to be really thick by tomorrow morning, so be ready for another foggy morning. And then as we go to Tuesday morning, here comes some more of these batches of heavy rain. The majority of this looks like it will stay likely up towards the Brazos Valley, moving over towards the I-35 corridor. It may get clipped some of our northern counties by about 8 o'clock. But then here comes the next wave coming through as we get into Wednesday morning. And notice that is a little more widespread. So any of these stronger clusters here could be a quick 1 to 2 inches, just like what we're seeing out there today. And so if some of these areas have picked up a couple of inches, the ground is very saturated, meaning it can't pull in much more rain. This, I think, will be our bigger flood issue as we get to Wednesday as this heavy rain starts to push on through. Because it was so dry and cold for the last week, we could take a decent amount of rain for today. It's just when it starts to pile up over the next couple of days and you see some of these colors, they get really, really bright. And those are indications anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6, 6 to 7 to 8 inches of rain when you pile it all up going through Wednesday into Thursday's forecast. So these are some of those hot spots that I think we'll have to just watch for over the next few days as we go through. Here's a great resource too. If you haven't downloaded our KPRC2 flood tracker, this is in partnership with the Harris County Flood Control District. Great resource. QR code's right here. You can also go to your app store and punch in their KPRC2 flood tracker. That'll give you a quick and easy way to download it. It's free, and it'll give you real-time information about some of the gauges in your neighborhood. So sloppy out there, Haley, all the way through, let's say, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that starts to back off. Then as we get to the weekend, it'll cool down just a bit, but still, it's not the 30s. And we'll see some sunshine by Saturday and Sunday and give us a chance to dry out from this rather soggy work week.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thanks, Justin. And whether you are hitting the roads to head into work or you are able to work from home, we want you to stay safe out there. This is a live look out at the Southwest Freeway near Kirby. We'll have an update when we come back. You might remember that we spoke to the Houston Humane Society Wildlife Center last week about their efforts to nurse bats back to health. And now more than 1,000 bats are being re-released across the Houston area. More than 200 of the animals were returned to the colony under the Wall Bridge, which is at the Buffalo Bayou Park last night. The Mexican free-tailed bats were rescued around the freezing temperatures last week after the cold caused some bats to go into hypothermic shock that causes them to lose grip and fall to the ground. Operations were also held in Spring, Cypress, and Pearland, collecting a total of 2,500 bats in all. And as you can see on the video that you're watching now, they were released back into their colony last night. Hard to capture those little guys on camera, but they were there. All right, restaurants in Galveston are putting together some great tasting menus for this week. Every winter, restaurants there participate in Galveston Restaurant Week, and proceeds to this year's event go to help the United Way of Galveston, the Family Service Center of Galveston County, and the Galveston Farmers Market. Restaurant Week runs until January 28th, and you can find the full list of participating restaurants on click2houston.com. We're going to go back out to a live look outside now. Right now, this is the Southwest Freeway. Pretty consistent commute happening out there, but the roads are wet, so we ask you to be careful. We'll be back right after this. All right, we've got reporters out on the roads today taking a close look at those slick roads to make sure that your morning commute is safe. Luckily, not too many cars on the road right now, so in this area, so be careful out there. The Houston Sports Awards is less than 2 weeks away, and we want you to join us for the big event. Tickets are on sale now. Just go to click2houston.com, or you can scan this QR code that's on your screen right now. KPRC2 insiders who buy tickets through our site will have exclusive access to our wine garden, red carpet viewing of Houston sports stars, and a seat at 713 Music Hall for that big event. So if you're not a KPRC2 insider, you have to join that first, and it is free and easy to join. Just go to our website, click2houston.com, and click the Join Insider button, which is at the top right corner of your screen. Then you can sign up, then you can buy tickets, and we'll see you there. Your live local news continues at the top of the next hour. Join me for KPRC2 Plus now at 9. We'll see you back here in just a few minutes. All right, welcome to KPRC 2 Plus now at 9. We continue to track the wet weather across the Houston area. This is a look at one of our storm trackers, and this is in the Klein area. Here's another live look at one of our storm trackers off of the Southwest Freeway. So you can see across the area, roads are wet. Roads are slick. We want you to stay safe. Good morning. I'm Haley Hernandez. We're going to check in now with Kathy Hernandez, and she is part of that team coverage who is monitoring the roads.
Good morning to you, Haley. Yes, we are in the Brookshire area right now, headed inbound into the Katy area and then further into the Houston area. This is what you're seeing now, inbound into the Katy area. You're seeing that constant rain there, that heavy rain we've been seeing really for most of the morning here on the west side of town. We've been traveling from Katy to Brookshire to Sealy as well. This is where we've really seen some strong storms this morning. And as we know, just about 9 o'clock right now is when the Harris County Office of Emergency Management is activating. Judge Lina Hidalgo says she'll also be there watching the weather conditions around the area. We know other local leaders are also watching these conditions. But of course, this morning on the roads, we want to make sure everyone takes it slow in these dangerous conditions. We have seen some ponding on the side of the road, so of course make sure you just slow down and never drive through high waters. Also, emergency crews have been out on the roads as we've seen multiple crashes this morning, so be aware of that. Get on over, give them plenty of space to clear up the accident scenes if you see any. So other than that, yes, it's a messy morning. We got gray skies and heavy rain coming down here in the Brookshire area. Make sure you give yourself plenty of extra time to get to work or to school. Haley, back to you.
All right, yeah, Kathy, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Hey, have you seen any spots with ponding or any high water spots?
Well, since we're on the freeways, not on the freeways, I have seen some ponding on lower feeder roads or maybe on the side of the freeways here on the shoulders, but not any flooding on the freeways. So, but yes, I mean, there is some ponding in low-lying areas.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that information. Actually, Justin Stapleton is standing by right now, and he was asking me to ask you that since you're our eyes on the road. Justin, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that so far, everything is able to handle the amount of rain that we've gotten, right? So basically, it's saying the 1 to 2 inches, which is basically where you're seeing these flood advisories pop up just to the southwest of right around Columbus, for example. They've picked up anywhere from around 2 to 2.5 inches. So that's where we're running into a few spots, and this is probably closer to kind of what Kathy was talking about, as you're starting to see some of the low-lying areas, feeder roads. If you get one that kind of like slips down to a ditch, that's probably going to fill up here at this point. You know, I really think we're going to be okay today because I think the ground is so dry from being so cold last week that as we've warmed up over the last day or so, it's allowing for a lot of this ground just kind of soak everything up. You know, kind of like when your skin gets super dry when it's real, you know, cold out, and you have to keep moisturizing for a couple of days before it finally starts to get back to normal. And maybe what we're looking at out there now. Now, that said, there's still going to be some slick spots and some trouble spots out there. So don't think, okay, well, no big deal. I don't have to worry about it. I want to make sure everybody's okay. This is where Kathy's been most of the day today, from Sealy, from Katy, down to Brookshire, which is down 359 if you work your way down that way. And you see some of these brighter bands moving through, and you saw just how wet the road was where she was. So that'll give you an indication that it is still pretty wet out there. So, you know, if you don't have to go anywhere today, it's best not to, or at least not till this afternoon when all this starts to kind of quiet down. So Pearland over to Friendswood, down towards Alvin and Santa Fe, starting to see that fill in. This little bullseye you see right there, they say, what is that? That's the actual radar site out towards League City. So that's why it has that kind of funky looking little circle right in the center. And then, of course, we're looking at some, we'll call it moderate to heavy rain there up across parts of Grimes County and then right outside of Lake Conroe. This may be the next spot that goes under a flood advisory. They've picked up almost 2 inches of rain, although they may back off because there's kind of a break in between that. But you see the 30,000 foot view here, and we've got this low kind of driving all of this across the state. Here's where the freezing rain is, way up here in Arkansas. So we're not expecting any frozen precipitation with this, which is good. That's the last thing we need. And it's going to bring in this jet, this Pacific jet, which basically is like a, think of it like a Dyson vacuum. And so all of that moisture that's coming in from the Gulf it hits that jet stream. The jet just sucks it up and just creates that vacuum, which is just pull in more moisture, which is why it's going to stay wet like this for the rest of the day today. Just did this a second ago before I joined you back on the TV here, is the rainfall totals we've seen, and it's right about where we'd expect. That big batch off to the west we were tracking about 5 a.m., 6 a.m. this morning has produced anywhere from around 2 to almost 3 inches of rain. Elsewhere, we're talking about maybe an inch, half an inch, 3/4 to about a tenth or so over to the east side. So a good chunk of the area has not seen a whole lot of rain yet today. They can handle a decent amount as it comes through. But of course, the entire area is under that flood risk through the rest of the day today. So we're going to track it regardless. I think the other issue this morning has been the fog. And in fact, look at this. We've had some pretty sloppy conditions, and the fog out there has really been an issue with the temperatures that are all in the 50s, anywhere from, the Med Center towards Bush out to Sugar Land. This is going to be an issue too, I think, for the next probably 1 to 2 hours just into that fog. Well, for areas that aren't getting a whole lot of rain, that fog has pretty much swallowed up the rest of the roads.
Oh boy, oh boy. Well, taking a look outside so we can see how the roads are doing. It's still wet out there. We got the water on the camera, and then we got traffic both inbound and outbound. A little heavy, but still moving in most areas. So make sure if you are heading out to keep your wipers on and your lights on. I know it sounds so simple, but I can't tell you how many cars I always see without those lights on. Zooming into some of those delays this morning, if you're coming in from Katy, traffic moving about 30 miles per hour inside of the Grand Parkway before you even get to the Beltway, and then after the Beltway, that 610 West Loop at 19 miles per hour heading southbound through that uptown area. We also got slow traffic, well, steady but slow traffic coming in on the North Freeway at 43 miles per hour before you get to the North Loop, and that means your drive times are slow, but we are making progress because not too long ago, Katy was in the red and so was Cypress. Now we're back in the yellow, but expect slow traffic if you're coming in from Kingwood, The Woodlands, Cypress, Katy, Sugar Land. We even got slow traffic in from LaPorte at 31 minutes and League City at 36 minutes this morning, Haley.
Yeah, slow everywhere, but not in the red. Thanks, Justina. Scan the QR code on your screen right now to stay up to date on this rainy weather. That's going to help you download our free KPRC2 Storm Tracker weather app. You can get the radar, you can get rainfall totals in your neighborhood specifically. Just scan that QR code, or you can search KPRC in your app store. The KPRC2 Storm Tracker weather team has partnered with the Harris County Flood Control District to bring you potentially life-saving information. Right now on click2houston.com/flood tracker, you can keep an eye on the flood gauges in your neighborhood. All right, we're going to go back out to the storm tracker now. Our photojournalist Damon Sales is traveling in the Klein area. Remember to drive with caution this morning. As you can see, it's a wet commute. This week, 20 million children worldwide are expected to perform a billion acts of kindness. Sorry, we'll get to that story in just one moment. Today is the start of National School Choice Week. It's time for parents to learn about different education options for their children. And this morning, Amy Davis talked with the National School Choice Awareness Foundation about different education options here in Texas.
You know, in HISD, the largest school district in the state, they just started their school choice this week, which in HISD means you can apply for a magnet school. You can go to another school within the district that you may not be zoned to. But I want you to tell me what the overall mission of the National School Choice Awareness Foundation is.
So our mission at the foundation is to make sure that parents know about the information you just started telling us, which is what those education options are in their communities. So in a place like Houston and HISD, there's something called open enrollment in traditional public schools. So that's choosing a public school other than the one to which you're assigned. There's public charter schools, public magnet schools, private, online, home, and non-traditional options. For us, we define school choice as choosing any of those because what's important is that parents have the flexibility to choose what's not just a great school in general, but what's the right school for their son or daughter.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't honestly remember growing up having that choice. It was like you either went to private school or you went to the school where you were zoned. And I think it was just the district that I was in. How many schools in school districts in Texas do you know approximately offer school choice where you can go? Is it all of them?
Yeah, so when you think about it with the broad definition of school choice I just gave, pretty much everybody has some level of it. But Texas does have some unique features in terms of how they approach school choice. So every school district in Texas gets to decide how much public school choice they want to offer. HISD does a lot more than other places in the state do. Texas also is a state that is in the minority of the country in that it does not have a private school choice program to help parents offset the cost of choosing a private school, but there's really strong charter, magnet, and online and homeschooling options. So that's kind of a compare and contrast with the whole nation as a whole, but this is changing all the time. We saw 20 states just last year change how much school choice they offered to family in one of those types of schooling environments.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, I've talked to families, you know, they may have 4 kids and they've got them in 4 different schools because they're like, well, each of them learn differently and this is good for him, but not for her. One of the things that people are always looking for are special education services in Texas. Can you tell us how parents can find some of those special education services, like a good resource for that?
Yeah, so special education is a huge concern. It's something that more and more families are realizing that they really want to be an active part of the process with, which is fantastic. So we have a guide on our website at schoolchoiceweek.com. It's called Ultimate Guide to Special Education and School Choice that'll walk you through how your rights and options change depending on what type of school you choose. There's a lot more to this story than a lot of folks realize. Of course, if you're in a traditional public school, people are pretty familiar with the process there. But even if you choose a private or homeschooling option, there are some situations in which you may still be eligible to apply for services from your district. So go to schoolchoiceweek.com. If you look up special education there, you'll find this guide. And we think that's incredibly important for lots of families to know because oftentimes that's a barrier to opening the door to thinking about other types of schools.
Interesting information. And back to that other story we were just talking about. This week, 20 million children are expected to perform a billion acts of kindness. This is part of the annual Great Kindness Challenge by the nonprofit Kids for Peace. And joining us live to talk more about it, Jill, I'm sorry, how do you say your last name? Is it McManigal?
McManigal, yes.
All right, I did get it right. All right, you are the co-founder and executive director of Kids for Peace. So tell me a little bit about what is that?
So the Great Kindness Challenge is starting today. We'll have over 20 million students all across the country and 115 countries uniting to celebrate kindness. They're going to be lifting each other up, cheering each other on, and making this world a better and brighter place for everyone. And they're going to do it using a 50-item kindness checklist sponsored by our great friends at Uli. And we're going to challenge them to complete all 50 acts of kindness in this 1 week.
Oh, that sounds great. How did this challenge start?
So it started 13 years ago in Carlsbad, California. It started with my children's 3 schools, my children's school and 2 other neighboring schools. And we wanted to be proactive with bullying. And we knew the best way to address bullying is to create a culture of kindness and create a culture of compassion. So we got proactive, and that's exactly what we have done with the Great Kindness Challenge.
I love it. And so you said that they've got a list of 50 acts of kindness that they have to complete this week. What are some examples of acts of kindness? Like, what would somebody see on that list?
So there's like sit with a new group of friends at lunch so they can meet new people. Slip a nice note into your friend's backpack. Thank your principal creatively. My very favorite is smile at 25 people. Smile is so easy to do. Anybody can smile at others, and it really does shift the whole energy between people.
What's been the response from students? Are they on board with doing this? Is there any resistance?
You know, it's interesting because the people the students who are really prone to kindness naturally already love this week because it gives them their space just to shine. And the students that maybe haven't been as kind in their lives, it gives them an opportunity to see what that feels because every single student at schools participate in it. So a student that hasn't naturally been kind in the past, once they start doing this act of kindness checklist, they're like, wow, this feels really good to be kind to others. And then they're receiving it from their classmates. And so they feel better and feel appreciated. So it's been this really beautiful way to bring all kids, no matter where they are in their lives, together in that spirit of kindness.
Yeah, I love that. How can a school get involved if they're hearing about this for the first time? Do you know, like, how many schools are already involved?
So we have over 41,000 schools already participating. A lot of them in the Houston area, the Friendswood area. So a lot of schools in your suburbs are participating in the Great Kindness Challenge. It does officially start today, but it's not too late for a school to get started if they're just now hearing about it. They could just go to our website, download, sign up, download our tools and checklists and all the resources we have. Everything is free, again, thanks to our great friends at Uli. And once they have that, they can just make copies of the checklist, distribute them, and get going. If they miss this week, they can do it next week or the week after. Every time is a great time for kindness.
Yeah, I mean, we know that our teacher friends who might be watching love those resources that they can access online for free. So yeah, if they go to your website, which we can link to it on clicktohouston.com, and download that, they can really encourage their class to do this all year long.
Absolutely. We do have a year-round curriculum also that we offer, which have great kindness lessons that they can do for year-round with the students. And then this week is just one concentrated week of kindness that we really celebrate it.
Well, Jill McManigal, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I love the initiative that you guys are supporting, and so I hope you have lots of luck with it.
Thank you so much. Kindness matters.
It does. Thank you. All right, we've got
Bye-bye.
another live look at our storm tracker on the Southwest Freeway. As you can tell, it is a busy, wet commute this morning in Houston. Be careful out there. We'll see you after this break.